In today's lecture, we will discuss MGNREGA and social audit. So this topic which we are going to discuss today, this topic is a very much important topic, MGNREGA and social audit, right? Because the questions which can be asked there, so a number of questions can be asked related with this. This topic is important for the mains examination as well as for your preliminary examination is concerned. As far as the mains examination is concerned, there can be a separate question, independent question that can be asked about the social audit only. That what do you mean by the social audit? The question may cover, write the following, such type of question which can be asked about the social audit. There can be question about social audit, that what is social audit, that can be the question there. Okay, what is social audit, that can be the question there, right? And the next question which can be there, that can be that we can say what is social audit, right? And the next question can be the purpose of social audit, right? And next thing can be the benefits of social audit, that can also be asked there. Okay, benefits of social audit. And then the next question can be asked that MGNREGA and social audit, right? So discuss the process of social audit of MGNREGA. That type of question can be asked. Or what is the role of social audit in MGNREGA, or what is the necessity of social audit in MGNREGA, right? So the question can be asked regarding this also, right? MGNREGA and social audit, right? There can be a specific question on this topic also. Okay, MGNREGA and social audit, that can be there. And the next thing can be the process of social audit. We will discuss it in the context of MGNREGA, right? So process of social audit can be there. So a number of questions from only this topic can be asked in your examination, right? Process of social audit, right? So such type of questions can be asked. So that is why I think that this topic is very much important and this topic is required to be discussed in detail, right? So that is why today we are focusing more on the social audit, that how the social audit of MGNREGA related works is conducted. So that is the main thing, right? So but before going there, right, it is important to know that what is social audit, what do we mean by the social audit. So first important point is that, right? So that's why we are starting from this that what is a social audit, what is social audit. So can anybody tell me that what is social audit? Do you know something about the social audit, right? If you know, you can type 2 lines there, right? Or if you don't know, then it's okay, no problem, I'm going to teach you, right? So as far as the social audit is concerned, we can say social audit means audit by the society, right? Society means audit by the people, right? Audit by the people or audit by the masses, right? Audit by the people or audit by the masses, we can say, right? So this is what we mean by the social audit, right? But it is very brief, the meaning of the social audit, right? So if some question is asked to you in the examination, right, so this is not sufficient for your examination purpose. right? So as far as social audit is concerned, I have told you that it is audit by the people or masses, right? So next important thing is that in this various programs and schemes of the government, in this various programs and schemes of the government, schemes of the government assessed or are assessed or examined by the active involvement of the people. Okay, by the active involvement of the people. So this is very much important thing, right? So social audit, we can say that social audit, what is it? Audit of the various programs and schemes of the government. Okay, schemes of the government. By whom? By the active involvement of the people, right? So audit by people, we can say, as Mr. Amrit has wrote there, audit by community. Good, that is also good meaning, right? So that's there. Okay, so in this social audit, the official records related with the in this the official records related with the program or schemas are compared with the actual work done, right? The official records related with the or scheme scheme are compared with the actual work done, so this is very much important point, right? So from this we will further discuss that how the social audit and financial audit differ. What is the difference between the social audit and the financial audit? We will discuss that also, right? But further, let me tell you that, right? So where it has been mentioned that MNREGA related works are need to be socially audited, or which provision of the law or which rule, right, says that there should be social audit of MNREGA related works, right? So that is important to know, right? So we can say that is why, right? So I'm going to tell you that in the previous lecture we discussed about the MNREGA Act, right? We discussed about the MNREGA Act, right? So all of you must be knowing about that because we discussed in the previous lecture. That was a Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, right? The act was enacted in the year 2005, right? And under the name of NREGA, and then it was renamed as MNREGA in 2010, right? So this is important, right? So now the next thing is that section 17 of MNREGA, right? Section 17 of MNREGA. So please note it down. Section 17 of MNREGA, right? Of MNREGA, right? Provides for the social audit, of all works, for the social audit of all works, right, executed under MNREGA, right? So whatever the we can say, right, works are executed under MNREGA. So the social audit of all those works executed under MNREGA would be required according to the section 17 of the MNREGA Act, right? So this was very important point, right? Very important clause, right? That who authorizes the social audit of MNREGA in our country, right? So the next thing is that we will, you can say, discuss the process of this social audit of MGNREGA later on. But before that, let me discuss about the difference between the financial audit and the social audit. Difference between the financial audit, okay, and the social audit. So important point. What is the difference between the financial audit and the social audit? So this is another important point which is required to be discussed here, right? And the same question can be asked to you in the examination also, that what is the difference between the financial audit and the social audit, right? Why not the financial audit of MGNREGA? Why social audit in case of MGNREGA has been prescribed by the law? Right. So this question can again be asked to you in the examination, right? So now what is there? First of all, as far as the financial audit is concerned, let me tell you, right? So financial audit, first of all, we will discuss about the financial audit. That what is financial audit, right? So once you know about the financial audit, then we will go a little more detail about the in little more detail about the social audit. So then you would be able to distinguish between the two, right? Yourself, right? So as far as the financial audit is concerned, it is related to the examination. Okay, it is related to the examination of financial records. It is related to the examination of financial records of it is related to the examination of financial records related to, right, related to the government, right, related to the government, okay, related to the government, we can say, from the perspective of right, only from the perspective of only we can say from the perspective of we can say, one is the financial propriety. Financial propriety means whether the funds have been used wisely, right? Financial propriety, right? Whether the funds have been used, you can say, wisely, right? So financial propriety. And second is the financial discipline, right? Second is the financial discipline, right? Financial discipline means whether the funds have been, right, whether the funds have been, you can say, spent in accordance with the purpose, right? So sometimes what happens, misutilization of funds is very common. Funds are allocated for X purpose and they are utilized for the Y purpose, right? So that is why financial discipline is very much important, right? And one more thing in the financial discipline is that what happens there, right? Sometimes there may be some irregularities in the financial records, right? So to check those also, to find those also, right? So all these things are important. Okay. So now financial propriety and financial discipline, what is that, right? So they require, right, they require, we can say, right, they require the use of funds. They require the use of funds allocated against, right, allocated against any purpose, right, avoiding any financial irregularities, any financial irregularities, okay, any financial irregularities, right? So the purpose is to find the financial irregularities and to find that whether the funds have been, you can say, spent with the utmost wisdom. Is there any sort of misutilization of the funds, misallocation or misdirection of the funds, we can say? Is it there or not? So this is the basically thing, right? And one more important thing is that the financial audit is performed by the qualified professionals, right? So here it is important thing, financial audit is performed by, right, financial audit is performed by qualified professionals. Qualified professionals. So this is about the financial audit, right? So let me make it clear to you. Suppose this is a work which has been done so far, or let's suppose the funds were allocated for this particular work, right? So now what will be there? Now what will be there at the end of the year, right? The CAG, Controller and Auditor General of India, in India's case, we can say, right, will look into the financial records related with this scheme, related with the program, or related with the project, right, or related with the item of expenditure, right? So what the CAG will see, Controller and Auditor General, right? Let me write the spellings here because some of you may not be knowing, familiar with the spellings, right? So Controller, COMPTRO, Controller and Auditor General of India. Okay, and Auditor General of India. Okay, this is a constitutional office, right? General of India. Popularly, it is known as CAG, right? CAG. So now, what is there? Any item of expenditure which has been incurred by, on which the expenditure has been incurred by the government, right? The CAG verifies, CAG examines, right? So what? Number one, right? So was the funds, right? You can say, was the funds correctly allocated for this purpose? One point is that, right? Because it is not the duty of CAG to allocate the funds, right? It is the duty of the parliament, right? First of all, to allocate the funds for a particular ministry, for a particular scheme or program, right? It is the duty of the parliament, right? And then after that, once the funds are allocated, right? So the ministry, the concerned ministry, right, incur the expenditure, and after the expenditure is incurred, then the role of the CAG, right, comes there, right? So what is the role of the CAG? What does the CAG look into, right? So role of the CAG is to see, right, so whether the funds were allocated for the purpose, whether the funds were utilized for the purpose they were allocated. One thing is that, right, whether the funds were utilized for the purpose they were allocated, right? Right. So beta, this may happen. You may take money from your father, right, for, you can say, buying a book, right, buying a book, right? And you may go to the market and you may spend that money, right, uh, for seeing a movie, right, for seeing a movie, right? So now what is there? That is the misappropriation of the funds, right, which were given to you by your father. So just in the same way, Parliament allocates the funds to the ministries, and the ministries, right, utilize those funds for the specific purposes, and the CAG sees that whether the funds were rightly utilized for the purpose for which they were allocated, or is there any misappropriation of the funds by the ministry. One point is that. Okay, so the broad purpose, I'm telling you, the rest of the things in detail we will discuss in the chapter related with the CAG, which is chapter in polity. Okay, so now this is the basic thing, right? So we can say this is the way, right, how the check is exercised on the executive, on the ministries, right, so that they may not misappropriate the funds, right? So there should not be any, we can say, irregularities, right, in the utilization of the funds, right? Or there should not be any financial irregularities in the governance. So this is the point, right? So we have discussed about the financial audit, right? And now the next point is that is the social audit, right? So the next important point is that is the social audit, we can say, right? So as far as the social audit is concerned, right, next is the social audit, right? So we can say it like that. So as far as the social audit is concerned, right, so in this case of a social audit, right, so what is there, right? So it is checked, or it is, we can say, examined, right? In this case of social audit, it is examined whether the expenditure incurred, whether the expenditure incurred serves the purpose or not. Okay, whether the expenditure incurred serves the purpose or not, right? So this is the you can say social audit, right? So in social audit, we can say, right, we check right, whether the expenditure incurred has served the purpose for which the expenditure was made, right? So that is the important point for which the it was made, right? Or we can say whether the expenditure incurred on a project or scheme, right, contributes to the or serves the purpose of that project or scheme, right? So if some expenditure is incurred by the Gram Panchayat, let's suppose, and that expenditure doesn't serve the purpose, right? It means that expenditure uh, went waste, right? So basically, this is actually whatever is seen in the social audit, right? So we can say in the financial audit, what is done, right? CAG checks the files only. CAG checks the official records only, right? CAG checks the official records only. CAG checks the files only. CAG checks the facts only, right? That is the post-mortem, we can say. But as far as the social audit is concerned, social audit is beyond the fact checking, is beyond checking merely written records or merely the official records or merely the files only, right? So we can say the persons conducting the social audit, right, they go door to door, right? They visit the actual site of the work, right, and they find that right, what quality of work has been done, right, whether that work serves the purpose or not, right? So many things are seen in this. We are going to discuss in the next few minutes in the same lecture today. So we can say that means right. So one is the uh, expenditure, right? So we can say record of the expenditure, that is checked, right? Second is the purpose for which the expenditure is incurred, whether that purpose has been served or not, right? And third is the expenditure incurred is checked from the ethical aspect also, right? So there are three important points, right? So we can say, let's suppose, right, so here is a project under MGNREGA, right? So what needs to be checked, right? So project under MGNREGA is for what purpose? For the social benefit, for the community benefit, okay, for the social benefit. Okay, so social benefit. There are two purposes under the MGNREGA. One purpose is, what is that? What one purpose of MGNREGA is to raise the livelihood to raise the livelihood of rural people or rural households, we can say. One is that purpose, right? Rural households, by providing them the guarantee of employment, for a minimum of 100 days in a year. For a minimum of 100 days in a year. This is the point, right? One purpose is that. And the second important purpose under MGNREGA, okay, and the second important purpose under MGNREGA, that is the construction of durable assets. Second purpose is the construction of durable assets in the villages, right? So durable assets, I can say that the durable asset can be some pond, some well, some road, right? Some road, some other social, you can say, development project like construction of the building of a school, right? Construction of a community hall, etc., in the village, right? So that is there, right? Cleaning of the ponds, cleaning of the canals, right? Rainwater harvesting projects, etc. So there can be number of projects, right? So now, what is their construction of the durable assets? So these are the two purposes. It means the expenditure under MGNREGA is incurred for right, achieving or for achieving or for uh, you can say realizing these two purposes, right? Okay, for the purpose of these two things. Okay, so that is the point there. So one is that, right? So now what is there? So in MGNREGA, on the one hand, what is there? There is the expenditure, right? On the one hand, there is the expenditure, and on the, we can say, other hand, there is the project, right? Project or some asset which has been done, right? And on one hand, there is the right social purpose of expenditure, that is to provide employment. Okay, social purpose of expenditure, that is to provide employment to the rural poor, that is there, right? So the next point is that, okay, the next thing is that, right? And these are the 2-3 points, right? Expenditure, purpose, and project. These are the three important things, right? One is the expenditure, second is the purpose, and third is the project, right? So now, what is there? One thing is that, as far as the expenditure is concerned, checking the official records, right? Checking the official records, right? How much expenditure has been incurred on this project and how much expenditure is shown in the records, right? Checking the official records. This is the point, right? And second thing is the purpose, right? Whether the expenditure made serves the purpose or not, right? You know, in villages, what happens, right? Sometimes in the master roles, we can say, the names of the workers are mentioned, registered, but actually they were not working, and right, actually they were not working and they were not paid. That is why, right? So that means the money related with the wages of those persons, right, has been misappropriated, right, by the members of the Gram Panchayat or head of the Gram Panchayat or the Panchayat secretary, etc. So such type of malpractices are there, right? So it means purpose, whether it serves the purpose or not, right? And third is project, right? Whether the project for which the expenditure was incurred. Let's suppose expenditure was incurred for, you can say, cleaning a village pond, right? There is a project of rupees 20,000, say, right? Rupees 20,000 has been spent, right, for the purpose of the cleaning of the pond, right? So records tell that rupees 20,000 has been spent for the purpose of the cleaning the pond, right? But the social audit team will see whether that pond has been actually cleaned or not, right? Or to what extent that pond has been cleaned, right? So these are the various things, right, which are required to be, you can say, examined in the social audit, right? So it means social audit is beyond the financial audit, right? It means the area of the social audit is broader than that of, we can say, the financial audit. Okay, so this is the point. I hope it is clear to you. If anybody has any doubts, you can ask, please. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, so now this is the point, right? So it is examined whether the expenditure incurred serves the purpose or not, right? So let me write here few lines about this, right? You should note those lines, right? We can say that social audit is to check. Social audit is to check. Social audit is to check whether, right, social objectives, whether the social objectives of, right, social objectives of a scheme or program, of a scheme or program, right, are met or not, are met or not, right? So this is an important thing, are met or not. Okay, so this is the about the social audit, right? So we check this, and next thing is that it also examines the ethical aspect of the expenditure incurred. Okay, it also examines the ethical expenditure of, ethical aspect of the expenditure incurred. That's aspect of the expenditure incurred. So this is the next point, right? Of the expenditure incurred, right? So important points, these are the important points, right? So this is the social audit, right? So this is the difference between the financial audit and the social audit. I hope it's clear to you now. So now we are moving on to the next slide, and we will discuss about the benefits of the social audit. What are the benefits of the social audit? What are the advantages of the social audit? Right. So this is another important point, right? So benefits of social audit. Right? So this is the next important point. Right. So there are a number of benefits of a social audit, right, which we are going to discuss now one by one. Right. So first benefit of the social audit, we can say that it promotes community participation and government accountability. Right. So it promotes community participation and government accountability. Right. So one thing is that community participation, because the social audit is conducted by the people, by the community, right, by the masses. So that is why community participation is there, and the government accountability. Accountability of the government is fixed in this case, right? So this is the one point. Okay. And the next benefit of the scheme is that right? So, uh, right. So, just along with this, we can write that. Therefore, social audit can be seen as a social audit can be seen as a tool of complete social transformation. Complete social transformation. Okay, social transformation. Right. Involvement of those to check for whom the work is done, right? So entire viewpoint is changed here, right? So that's there. Next is it makes people aware about their rights and entitlements. It makes people aware about their rights and entitlements. Entitlements, right? Because when the people are involved into the social audit process, so then obviously first they are trained about the social audit for the social audit, right? So they come to know about the scheme more clearly, right? They come to know the purpose of that scheme. They come to know that what is their benefit in this scheme, right? And what are the entitlements available to them under the scheme, right? So that is there, right? So let's suppose there is the Food Security Act. Under the Food Security Act, right, the poor people are given subsidized ration, right, at a subsidized price, right? So if the social audit will be conducted, then obviously there will be an awareness among the people, right, who will be involved in the social audit, that okay, we have come to know just today that this Food Security Act was for us only, right? And under this Food Security Act, right, we were to be given this much benefit, right? And an obvious question will come in their mind, that whether we have been given this much benefit or not by this scheme, right? If not, why? Right? Then automatically a process of improvement starts there, right? Automatically a transformation starts from there. So that is why it makes people aware about their rights and we can say entitlements, right? So this is the second important point, right? And the third important point is that it provides people a platform. It provides people a platform, we can say, right, to raise their queries, a platform to raise their queries, doubts, to raise their queries, doubts, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, express their needs and grievances. Okay, express their needs and grievances. Okay, so this is an important point, another important point, needs and grievances, right? So that is there, right? So their involvement provides them a platform where they can raise their queries, doubts, ask questions, express their needs and grievances also, right? So this is the third benefit of this thing, we can say, that is there. Okay. So now the next thing is that the next benefit we can say under the program is that it brings transparency and accountability. It brings transparency and accountability. Right? Transparency and accountability in government schemes. In government schemes, right? So because the Gram Sabha, I told you in the previous lecture that the Gram Sabha acts like a parliament, right? So as there is a parliament in the center, right? Before which the executive means the ministers remain accountable, right? Ministers are responsible, right? And at the state level, there is the Vidhan Sabha, which is known as the Legislative Assembly, before whom again the Chief Minister and his Council of Ministers remain responsible. And at the village level, there is the Gram Sabha, right? Before whom the Panchayats remain responsible, right? So that means Gram Sabha is just like the parliament at village level. Is a sort of parliament at village level, right? So then what is there? The elected representatives of the people means the head of the Gram Panchayat and the Panchayat members, right? So they can be held accountable before the Gram Sabha. Members of the Gram Sabha may raise questions and they are expected to reply their questions to clear their doubts, right? So this automatically fixes an accountability and this brings transparency in the system as well. Okay. So now the next thing is that, right? So the next thing is that we can say it it promotes it promotes decentralized it promotes decentralized governance. It promotes decentralized governance. So this is the important, these are the important points. Okay, these are the important points. Okay, so this is about the benefit of the social audit, right? So next, now I'm giving you a question, right? Which I think you would try to write, try to find the answer, right? So the question is that we can say an auditor serves as a watchdog, not as a prosecutor, not as a prosecutor. Discuss, right? Prosecutor means a auditor is not to punish for the wrongdoings, right? Auditor is only to do the post-mortem of the things, right? Post-mortem of the financial expenditure incurred. He has to find the irregularities, right? If there are any. He has to prepare a report and he has to put up that report, right, before the appropriate authorities, right, so that those appropriate authorities on the basis of that report may take action. Okay, so so the role of the auditor is like a watchdog, right? The role of the auditor is not that of a prosecutor, right? Just just take the example of a dog, right, in your house, right? So whenever some individual tries to enter in your property, whenever some individual tries to trespass into your property, right, then the dog raises an, we can say, alarm, right? Then the dog raises an alarm. That what is the purpose of that alarm? The purpose of dog is to, you can say, tell you that there are chances of something wrong, right? There is the chance that something wrong may happen before, because somebody is trying to trespass in your property, somebody is trying to enter into your house, right? So now it is up to you, right, to inquire about the purpose of the trespasser, whether the purpose of the trespasser is genuine or ingenuine, whether the trespasser is entering into your property for some good purpose or for some bad purpose, right? So if the trespasser is entering into your property for some bad purpose, right? So then it is up to you to decide what to do with him, right? Whether to free him, right? Or to make a complaint before the police, right? Right? Whether to, you can say, go into the court, right, against that person, or what to do, what not to do, right? So that means the auditor is like, the role of the auditor is like the role of the dog in your house, right? So it only awares you, it only raises an alarm, right, when it smells that something may happen wrong, right? Something may be wrong or something is wrong. Okay. Okay. So now, but he does not have any power of prosecution, right? So the power of prosecution rests with somebody else, right? So that is why, right, in the light of this brief discussion, you need to write the answer of this question in approximately 100 words, right? In approximately 100 words, please try to write the answer to this question. Okay, so I hope you will try to write the answer to this question. Okay, so question is there. Okay, so now the next point, the next thing we are going to discuss, that important features of the social audit. Important features of the social audit. Are you getting me? If there is any problem, you please let me know. Important features of the social audit. Okay. So now what are the important features of the social audit here? Okay. So as far as the important features of the social audit are concerned, let us discuss the features one by one, right? So number one, right? Number one, it is the role of the auditor is that of the fact finding, not that of the fault finding, right? Fault finding. Okay, so that means auditor has nothing to do with the prosecution, right? It is up to the courts to decide, or up to the appropriate authorities to, we can say, decide that whether, right, this amounts to fault or not. All right, so the purpose of the auditor is just to tell that we think that here the money has been misappropriated, right? So, okay, so just we can say, let's suppose, right, you and your friend went to the market, right? You, you can say you got the money from your father for the purpose of purchasing a book, right? But both of you entered into a cinema, you enjoyed a movie, and you returned to home, right? So then after returning to home, right, so your friend tells to your mom or your father that she has misappropriated the money. Okay, so now it is up to your father or up to your mom to decide what to do. Okay, is it clear now? Is it clear now? So it means the role of the CAG is fact finding only, not the fault finding. Okay, so that's the point which I want to tell you here. So this is the one point, fact finding, not fault finding. And the second point is that it creates a space and platform. It creates a space and platform for dialogue among various stakeholders. Okay, for dialogue among various stakeholders. Okay, among various stakeholders. So that is the another thing, right? So when the social audit is conducted, social audit is held, then the Gram Sabha sits together, right? Sits together. So then while discussing the report of the social audit, right, the members of the Gram Sabha, right, got an opportunity to, we can say, have a dialogue, right, among themselves, right, related with the work, related with the project, related with the expenditure incurred for their development, etc., etc., right. So that is why this is another feature or another role of this scheme, we can say, right. So now the next thing which is there, okay, the next point is that it is we can say it is an important measure to curb irregularities and corruption, to curb irregularities and corruption. So this point needs no elaboration. I think all of you know about this. Okay. Measure to curb irregularities and corruption. This is the point, right? So now the fourth important point is that it provides opportunity for timely redressal and grievances, right? So it provides opportunity for timely redressal of grievances. It provides opportunity for timely redressal of grievances. So your grievances are addressed there, right? And everything is made clear to you, right? And this is the point. And next is the strengthening of the democratic process in the institutions. Right? So next is the strengthening of democratic process in the institutions. It strengthens democracy. Strengthening of democratic process and institutions. So this is the next point. Democratic process and institutions. So this is another important point here. Okay. So now the next point is that people's pressure, right? So it creates a pressure of people on the implementing authorities, right? So it creates a pressure of community. Let us say it, pressure of community on the implementing authorities or implementing agencies, right, to finish the work or to do the work in an effective and efficient manner. In the Do the work in effective and efficient manner. So this is another feature of this scheme, or another benefit we can say of this scheme, right? And the next thing is that it helps in the optimum utilization of resources, right? It helps in optimum utilization of resources. So optimum means best possible utilization of resources, right? So it helps in optimum utilization of resources. Okay. So this is the next point. Okay. So these are the various important features we can say of this uh, program of social audit. So is it clear to everybody up to this point? If anybody has any doubt, please tell me so that I may address your query. Any doubts of anybody? You can ask. No doubts? till this point? Okay. So now the next thing which we'll discuss now, that is another important thing in this social audit, that is steps in social audit. Right, steps in social audit of the complete process of social audit, which we are going to discuss here. Steps in social audit. Right, so as far as the, we can say, steps in social audit is concerned, it means a social audit is a process which involves a series of steps. Right, so social audit is a process which involves a series of steps, right, which involves a series of steps. So what are those, what is that series of steps? So we are going to discuss that now, right? So one thing is that, right, one thing is that, so one point is, that is, we can say, social audit calendar. So first step in this series is the determination or fixation of a social audit calendar. Right? Social audit calendar means when the social audit will be conducted, will be held. Right? So determination of social audit calendar means when the social audit will be held. Okay, when the social audit will be held or conducted. Okay, so this is the first step in this, right? So who decides about this? Right, so who decides about this? Who decides, who determines the social audit calendar? Right, so this is an important point again, right? So there is a social audit unit of every state government. There is a social audit unit of every state government, that decides about this. Okay, that decides about this. So important point, right? The question can be there, right? So in UPSC examination, the question can be there that who among the following, right, decides the timings of a social audit. Decides the timings of social audit. Important question, right? Yes, Nishant, yes, I told you. Okay. So who among the following decides the timing of social audit, right? So there are options. Here are options. Number one, Gram Sabha. Right. Number two, Gram Panchayat. Right. Gram Panchayat. Number three, Zilla Parishad, is at district level. Zilla Parishad. And number four, social audit unit of the state. Right. Social audit unit of the state. So these can be the options there, right? Question is very simple, but honestly tell me that whether you were knowing the answer to this question before this lecture. Anybody? Anybody? Whether you were knowing the answer before this lecture? Okay. No, no, right? So एग्जामिनेशन में जब ऐसे बहुत सिंपल क्वेश्चन आते हैं और वो अटेम्प्ट नहीं हो पाते तो हमें बहुत पेन होती है ना. सो दैट इज व्हाई ये छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, राइट? व्हाट यू कैन डू, right, when you observe the things, right, when you observe what is happening around you, right? So raise the questions and try to find the answer to those questions. Okay, so that's why social audit unit of the state, it is determined by this party, this agency. Okay, so important question from the point of view of this social audit. So the first step is the determination of the social audit calendar, right? So social audit calendar is determined by the state audit unit. Every state has its own state audit unit, right? So it is the state audit unit that decides that when the audits of the panchayats will be held. The calendar is determined by the social audit unit of the state government, right? So this is the first point, right? And the second thing is that अब क्या हो गया कि हमने ऑडिट का टाइम तो फिक्स कर लिया, राइट? नाउ द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज दैट who will conduct the audit, right? Who will conduct the audit? So audit is actually conducted by the village resource persons, right? So the next point is that selection of village resource persons. So this is the next important point. Selection of village resource persons who are known as the VRPs, right? Village resource persons, right? So I will write it VRP in the next discussion. VRPs, right? So this is again an important point that these are the persons who are selected from the village, right? And these persons are selected from the village by the social audit unit again, right? Okay, so it means what is there? So they are identified by the social audit unit. Village resource persons are selected and identified and selected by the social audit unit, identified and selected by the social audit unit of the state government. Okay, social audit unit of the state government, right? So now the next question is that who can be the village resource persons, right? Who can be elected? Selected. So who can be the village resource persons? So this is the next question, right? Who can be the village resource persons? So as far as the village resource persons is concerned, right? You can say they can be members of the self-help groups, members of self-help groups, SHG, self-help groups, right? So there is preferably women, because the self-help group scheme was actually started for the women, right, in the 1980s. Okay, so members of the self-help groups can be there, one is that. And the second thing is that workers who had worked under Manrega or members of their family, under Manrega for the period, right? For the period, during the period for which the audit is being conducted. During the period for which the audit is going to be conducted. For which the audit is going to be conducted. Is going to be conducted, right? So, or their family members, we can write here, or their family members. So this is the next thing, right? One is this, second is this, right? Or their family members. And the second thing is that women or persons belonging to or persons belonging to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, or we can say notified and denotified tribes, right? Notified and denotified tribes Denotified tribes, right? And these are there, right? And notified tribes, etc. We can write it here, right? Etc. It can be there, right? And then next is that is the youth from rural groups, right? Youth from rural groups, Nehru Yuva Kendras, right? That is there, or Bharat Nirman volunteers, Bharat Nirman volunteers. So, beta, under this lecture, sorry, in this lecture, we two things, right, which I have just told to you. One is the denotified tribes, and the second thing which I have just told you, that is the Bharat Nirman volunteers. Right. So first of all, uh, right, does anybody know about the denotified tribes? What are the denotified tribes? Right. What do you understand, right, by this term of denotified tribes now? Because you are quite mature, you have done your graduation, or are through or in the process of your graduation. So what do you understand by this term of denotified tribes? Tell me. Amrit, what do you understand, beta, by this term of denotified tribe? Okay, Asika, Geeta, Aman, anybody? Or you don't know about this, please tell me. Are you hearing this term first time, denotified tribes, or have you heard this term earlier also? Tell me. Okay, don't know. Okay, okay, don't know. Okay, all right. So I will tell you in today's lecture, right? This is also a very important term, very important category, basically, very interesting also, right? So I will tell you this about this, right? So, and have you heard about the Bharat Nirman volunteers? Do you know something about this? What's their job? What do they do? Anybody knowing? Amrit, do you know about this? Aman, do you know about this? Asika, do you know about this? Geeta doesn't know, she has told me. And other students tell me. Okay, may not under schedule 5 or 6. No, okay. Okay, right. Okay, so chalo. Overall, what I conclude that you don't have knowledge about these two terms. One is the denotified tribes, and second is the Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? So I will discuss it today at the end of the lecture, that what are these two, right? So far, for the purpose of this, for the purpose of the continuity of this lecture, so I'm skipping these 2 points from discussion. Okay, Asika, you can leave. So that's there, right? So who can be those, right? So these are the persons who can be the village resource persons for the purpose of audit, members of self-help groups, workers who had worked under MGNREGA during the period for which the audit is going to be conducted, or their family members, right? So let me correct it here. Okay, their family members. And the next is women or persons belonging to SC/ST notified and denotified tribes, right? So notified and denotified tribes, it's there, right? And the next is that is the youth from rural groups, Nehru Yuva Kendras, or Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? So, right. So these two things we will discuss at the end of the lecture: denotified tribes and Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? So it is your duty to remind me, right, by the end of the lecture. So otherwise, I will try to discuss it, right? So the second step is done. First step is determination of the calendar. Second step is selection of the village resource persons. Both the jobs means the determination of the calendar as well as the selection of the village resource persons. So both these sections are done by the social audit unit of the state. Okay. So now there is the third step in this, right? Third step in the social audit, okay, which we can speak that this is the third step. The third step is training to village resource persons. Training to village resource persons, right? So village resource persons have been selected. Now the job is there to train them, because they may not be knowing about the social audit. What is the social audit? How we are to conduct the social audit? What is the scheme for which we are going to conduct the social audit, right? So they may not be knowing about MGNREGA also, right? So that's why training there, right? So what is the training is about? We can say training is regarding right, number one, purpose of the training which we are going to discuss regarding number one, various aspects of MGNREGA, so that they should know the scheme before they are going to hold the audit, right? Various aspects of MGNREGA. So this is the first point. Okay. The second point is that is the social accountability. So what is that? Right. So they should know about that also. And third thing is about the social audit, right? So these are the three things for which they are trained, right? So training to the village resource persons. Okay. So the next thing is that after training, next is a consolidation of records. Right. Next is the consolidation of records, right? So now the village resource persons have been trained. The team is ready for conducting the social audit. Now the next thing is that that team will consolidate the records, right? So consolidation of the records, right? So the next job is this consolidation of records. It means all required documents are provided to the social audit team by the block office. Okay, so all documents means scheme related document, project related document, job related document, whatever is there, right? So all documents, it means required documents, right, are provided to the social audit team, provided to the social audit team by the social audit team by the block office, right? You know, we are having the three-tier Panchayati Raj system, right? The very basic at the ground, that is the Gram Panchayat village level, right? One tier is at village level, right? And the next is above this, that is at block level, right? And the next beyond that, that is at a district level. So these are the three tiers of the Panchayati Raj system at the district level. Okay, these are the three tiers, right? So that means this is the intermediate level, which is the block level, right, officer, which provides the records to the social audit team of a village. Okay, so this is there. Okay. So the next thing is that is the verification, right? So once the records are provided to them, the next job is the verification, right? So whatever the records are there, on the basis of those records, verification is done. Verification of the records is done right before the drafting of the report, right? Before drafting of the report. So as far as this verification is concerned, verification of records is done by the verification of records is done by the social audit team. okay, is done by the social audit team. So this is important point. Done by the social audit team, right? So they can go door to door for the purpose of verification. Okay? They can go door to door for the purpose of verification. Okay? For the purpose of verification, right? They can meet the MGNREGA workers who worked during the period for which the audit is being conducted, right? Who worked during the period for which the audit is conducted. For which the audit is conducted. Okay, for which the audit is conducted. They can meet them also. And after meeting them, they can check whether the wages have been paid to them according to the record or not. They can check whether the wages have been paid to them according to the record or not. Record or not. Right? So this is another important thing, right? And then next thing is that in the verification process, they check the quality of work and quantity of work done, right? Check quality and content, quantity of work done, quality and quantity of work done. That's another important point. Right? Work done, right? And then you can say they conduct 100% verification of the works done under MGNREGA, right? So they conduct 100% verification of the works done under MGNREGA. So very good and very important point. Okay. They conduct 100% verification of the works done under MGNREGA. Okay, of the works done under MGNREGA. So this is the verification. Means what is there? One is the important here. One is the verification of records. 1 point. Second, they can go they can go door to door for the purpose of verification of the wages, right? For the purpose of verification of wages, right? Whether the MGNREGA workers have been paid wages according to the record or not, because there are complaints that there are many fake entries of names in the muster rolls of the Panchayat. Actually, those people never reported to work. And that means what is there? The names are written there. The people have never reported to work or reported on the work, right? So it means where that money is going, that money is misappropriated by the panchayat secretaries or the block level officials, etc., etc. Okay, so that is why verification. Then verification of the work is done, right? So this is the verification step, right? So after the verification, the next step is that is the preparation of an audit report. Preparation of an audit report. Then an audit report is prepared, right? Preparation of an audit report, right? So this is the next job. And then uh, after the preparation of the audit report, the next job is what is that? To conduct, right? To conduct social audit Gram Sabha. To conduct social audit Gram Sabha, right? To conduct Gram Sabha means like conducting the session of the parliament. It's in the same way, right? So Gram Sabha, what is there? All the right registered voters of a village, right, or of a panchayat area, they constitute the Gram Sabha, right? So what do we mean by the Gram Sabha? All the registered voters in a panchayat area constituted the Gram Sabha. Constitute the Gram Sabha. It's okay. Okay, so it means those persons who are not voters, they cannot be part of the Gram Sabha, right? So Gram Sabha, right, is a group of all the right voters, all the voters in a panchayat area. Okay, so it means what is there? So Gram Sabha, as per the law, right? The meetings of the Gram Sabhas are required to be held, right? Are required to be held, right? So now this meeting of the Gram Sabha is held for specific purpose, that is for the social audit. That is why this meeting of Gram Sabha has been given the name Social Audit Gram Sabha, right? So it means a social audit Gram Sabha is invited or is conducted. Okay, the next step is this. Okay. So now what is there? In the presence, this social audit Gram Sabha, right, meets in the presence of an independent observer. Independent observer. Okay, so some observer sits there, like in Parliament, right? Parliament session is held in the presence of the Speaker. If it is Lok Sabha, right? If it is Rajya Sabha, it is in the presence of the Chairman of Rajya Sabha, right? And similarly, there should be someone, right, who is independent to conduct the session of the Gram Sabha, right? So that is the point basically, right? So in the presence of an independent observer. Now, who can be this independent observer, right? So this independent observer, right, is a block level officer, is a block level officer, let us say, block level officer, who is known as counselor under the block officer, right? He functions under the block officer. So this is the, you can say, independent observer, right? So this is about that. I think this point is clear to you. Point, right? Block officer के अंदर होता है, right? So that is there, right? So now what is there? The audit team presents its audit report before the Gram Sabha, right? What is there now? The audit team, okay? The audit team presents its audit report before the Gram Sabha. Okay, before the Gram Sabha. This is very much important again. Conducts its audit report, right? Presents its audit report before the Gram Sabha. Right. So now the next thing is that the implementing agency, right? The implementing agency means the panchayat here, right? The implementing agency means agency responsible for implementing the developmental projects under MGNREGA, okay, or the employment guarantee projects under MGNREGA. So that is the implementing agency. So that is the panchayat, obviously, in the villages, right? Okay, the implementing agency, ब्रैकेट में आप लिख सकते हो, that is the ग्राम पंचायत. implementing agency, Gram Panchayat, right? So needs to respond to the issues raised in front of the Gram Sabha. So this is there in front of the Gram Sabha. Right. So now the question is the important question can be there, that who among the following for your preliminary examination, who among the following chairs the social audit Gram Sabha? Right. बहुत important questions हैं ये, आज तक यूपीएससी ने नहीं पूछे बट पूछे जा सकते हैं. Right. Social audit Gram Sabha. Who among the following chairs the social audit Gram Sabha? Right. So the options can be, first option is head of Gram Panchayat, head of the Gram Panchayat, or Sarpanch can be written there, head of the Gram Panchayat, Mukhiya, okay, of the Gram Panchayat, that can be there. Second is the senior member, the senior-most member of the senior-most member of the social audit team, right, that has conducted the audit, whose report is going to be discussed here. Chalo, social audit team. And the third option can be there, senior most member of the Gram Sabha or in the Gram Sabha, right? Senior most member in the Gram Sabha. Okay, and the next is an officer under the block officer. Right. So fourth is an officer under the block officer. Okay, means an officer comes there for that purpose. An officer under the, that is the, okay, under the block officer. So these can be the questions, options, right? So first option is obviously wrong. Second option is obviously wrong. Third option is obviously wrong. Your answer is both D, right? Who among the following chairs the social audit Gram Sabha? Okay, so now we have done it up to this point, right? So now the next thing is that preparation of the audit report and the presentation of the audit report is also there, right? Presentation of the audit report is also there. Now next to the presentation, there is the public hearing. The next step is that public hearing. You might have known the term hearing. What do we mean by the term hearing? Right. So whenever a trial, right, undergoes in a court, then the hearing is held in the court. Right. So this is what we mean by the hearing. A hearing is held in the court. Right. So that means now what is there? In the light of the audit report, right, the Gram Sabha sets and the members of the Gram Sabha, in the light of that audit report, puts questions to the Gram Panchayat members or the head of the Gram Panchayat, right? And they are bound to answer those questions. They answer those questions, right? So this is the public hearing, right? And then the village decide that what can be done, what should be done now, right? Okay, so then when the next social audit Gram Sabha meeting is held, right? So in that meeting, first of all, the point that will be raised is that what action, right, was taken on the basis of the public hearing, right, of the last social audit report. Right, so this is the point. This is how the control is exercised, right? So let me write here. Okay, to ensure that orders are issued on a, you can say, public platform. To ensure that orders are issued on a public platform, that orders are issued on a public platform, right? Public platform, we can say. Okay, and public platform, and actions are taken, thereon, right? Actions are taken on social audit findings, right? Social audit findings, right? The next thing is that, right? So this is the purpose of the public hearing. It means in public hearing, what is done there, right? First of all, the hearing is held, and then the actions are taken on the social audit findings by the Gram Sabha. The Gram Sabha decides about the actions to be taken on the social audit findings. Okay, to be taken on the social audit findings. Okay, so here the officers of the implementing agency, means Gram Panchayat, right? They are required to, right? They are required to answer the questions raised by the Gram Sabha members. One point is that, right? And they are required to respond to the findings of the social audit team, right? They are required to respond to the findings of the that social audit report. Okay, so now what is there? Let's suppose, right? I am the head of the Panchayat of a village, right? So social audit team has conducted a social audit. After that, a social audit Gram Sabha has been invited, right? So social audit team presents its report before the Gram Sabha, right? And once the report is presented there, then a public hearing is held, right? As far as the public hearing is concerned, right? So it is the public that raises the question, and me as the head of the Gram Panchayat, right, will be bound to answer those questions, right? Right, and then what is there? If the Gram Sabha finds something wrong or smells something wrong in that, then they may prescribe an action which is required to be taken in the following period, right? So this is there, right? And but when the next social audit Gram Sabha will be held, then the very first point will be that the government will be required, sorry, the panchayat would be required to answer, right, about the action taken on the, you can say, previous social audit report. Is it clear up to this point? Any doubt to anybody? Any doubt to anybody? You can raise your doubt. You can ask your question. Okay. Any doubt of anybody? No doubt? Okay. So it means from this whole discussion we conclude that village resource persons are very important link in the entire social audit process. Clear na? So village important, sorry, village जो हैं, right? So village resource persons are the very important link in the entire process of social audit. So please bear this in mind, right? So it is the village resource persons who are important link in this, we can say, right? So now the next point is that, is there any set of audit rules Is there any set of audit rules? Right? Audit rules. If yes, okay. If yes, who prepares those audit rules? Right? Who prepares those audit rules? Who prepares those audit rules? Right? Is there any set of audit rules? Yes, there is a set of audit rules, right, which is followed by the state audit units, right, and the social audit teams while conducting the audit, right, and that set of rules is determined by the Ministry of Rural Development of Government of India, right, in consultation with the CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So very important point, Peter, that right, rules regarding social audit of MGNREGA works are prepared by the Ministry of Rural Development in consultation with the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, who is called CAG. Right? Okay. The point, please note this point. Right? So it means who prepares the audit rules? It is the Ministry of Rural Development, right? Which Ministry of Rural Development, which in consultation with the CAG, right, frames rules or drafts rules, right, for for social audit of MGNREGA related work. Social audit of MGNREGA related work, right? So please bear this in mind. Social audit of MGNREGA related work. So this is the body which prepares the rules. Okay, so that is there, right? So what is about the rules, right? The rules, we can say, define the process of the social audit. That what is the process of the whole process which we have discussed so far, right? That has also been prescribed under the rules only. All right, the rules, you can say, prescribe the entire process of the social audit, and they you can say, fixes the responsibilities of the social audit units of the states, right? So what are the rules? Number one, entire process of right, social audit is prescribed. Entire process is prescribed. Process of social audit is prescribed. And number two, what is important there, right? Entire process. And number two, responsibilities and role of the, okay, so responsibilities and role of the social audit units of states. Social audit unit, right, of states, okay, that is prescribed under these rules. So this is important, that's prescribed under these rules, right? Okay, so now these rules are followed by the state governments everywhere, right, and the field functionaries, right, who are involved in this social audit work. Okay, so who are involved in this social audit work. So this is what we have discussed so far about the entire social audit process. You know what is the social audit process now, right? So now the next point, which I promised with you during the lecture that we'll discuss towards the end of this lecture, that is what is the denotified tribes, right? What is the denotified tribes? Okay, so I told you that it is very interesting thing to know denotified tribes, right? As far as the denotified tribes is concerned, right, the important point here is that the British government of India enacted important point is that the British government of India, the British government of India enacted, right, a law known as the Criminal Tribes Act, known as the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, right? So 1871, in 1871, the British government of India enacted this law, right? So this law is known as the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871. So this was the law which was enacted at that time, right? And under the act, some tribes were listed as criminal tribes, right? Under the list, some tribes were listed as criminal tribes. Were listed as criminal tribes. Okay. They were listed as criminal tribes, right? So the next thing is that, right? So these criminal tribes which were listed under this, you can say, act, all right? So they were considered as addicted to systematic commission of non-bailable offenses, right? So it means what is there? The people of these tribes, the individuals of these tribes, right? So were, right? So they were considered as addicted to the commission of, right? Addicted to the systematic commission of, we can say, non-bailable offenses, right? Non-bailable offenses, right? Bailable offenses, right? So it means what is that? These tribes were, you can say, listed under this act. Why? Because it was thought that the individuals of these tribes, right, are the habitual criminals, right? So they do the crimes, they do the non-bailable crimes, right? So they are addicted to the commission of the crimes, right? Addicted to the commission of the crimes. So that was there. Okay. So, right. So what was there under the law? That once a tribe was notified, right, under this act as criminal tribe, then all the members belonging to, you can say, that tribe were required to report to the magistrate, were required to report to the local magistrate, right? And if they fail to report to the local magistrate, they were liable for the punishment under the IPC, Indian Penal Code, right? So very important thing, right? So I'm just simplifying this thing. Let's suppose this is the act which was passed by the British government in 1871, right? So under this act, there were some tribes who were notified as the criminal tribes, right? And these were those tribes, the individuals belonging to which were considered as the habitual criminals, right? Who were addicted to the commission of the systematic crimes, right? Which are non-bailable, okay, offenses, right? So that was there, okay. So now what is there? Once a tribe was notified under this act, which is the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, right? Then the members of that tribe, right? So must have to register with the local magistrate, right? Register with the local magistrate, you can say, right, failing which they were liable for action under the Indian Penal Code. Okay, so let's suppose there is an, and we can say X tribe, there is an X tribe which have been, you can say, notified as a criminal tribe under this act, right? X is a tribe, right? So let's suppose the persons belonging to this tribe are, let's suppose these are the various persons belonging to this tribe. Okay, so suppose A, B, C, D, E are the individuals belonging to this tribe, right? So if X has been notified as a, you can say, the notified under this, right? X is a tribe which has been notified under this law, right? So then what is there? These members of this tribe, A, B, C, D, E, right? They must have to go to the local magistrate, right? They must have to go to the local magistrate, right? And they must have to register themselves with this local magistrate so that a track of those persons, their movements could be kept, could be maintained, right? So this was the main point. Okay, so they had to go there on, right, to register with the local, right? So if they fail to register with the local magistrate, then what happens? They were liable for punishment under the IPC, for action under the IPC. Is it clear up to this point, right? So now this was a very bad practice during the British time. Okay, so when India got independence in 1949, then this Criminal Tribes Act of 1871 was repealed by the government of India. That was taken back by the government of India, right? And when this Criminal Tribes Act of 1871 was repealed by the government of India, then by that repeal, right? So the tribes which were notified under this act, they become denotified. Okay, they become denotified, and those tribes are known as the denotified tribes. Is it clear? Amrit, clear beta up to this point? And those tribes become denotified tribes. Okay, so if anybody has any doubt about this, you can ask. Otherwise, this is an important thing, right? So denotified tribes. Okay, so now a little more about this, right, which I am going to tell you. You can note what I am speaking. Okay, so now what was there? The government of India, though repealed this law, Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, but in 1952, the government of India passed another act, which act was known as Habitual Offenders Act, right? Habitual Offenders Act, right? So what was there? Under that Habitual Offenders Act, what was there? The record of the habitual criminals was maintained, right? So if you go to the police station today now, so earlier actually, right, in the last years, in the previous years, right? So if you go to the police station, you will find that there is on the notice board there a list of the, right, habitual criminals is pasted on the notes board, right, is put on the notes board, right? Okay, these people are the habitual criminals, right? So that uh, it may become easier for the police to identify them, to locate them, to keep a watch on their activities, right? To track them, etc., etc., right? But you know, to to designate a person as a habitual offender, right? So that is a great social injustice, right? Why? Because that leads to the injury to the self-respect of that person, right? That leads to the right dignity, right? That leads to the loss of dignity of that person. Let's suppose, right? I committed a crime, right? I committed a crime. The law gave me the punishment, right? Due to any reason, right? I committed a second crime, right? The law again gave me the punishment, right? But what does it say that my name has been pasted, has been put there on the notes board that this person is the, we can say, habitual offender, right? So that means nobody will come close to me in the society, right? So what will be there, my social status, right? So that is why, right? So that is why, beta, uh, a UN committee, you can note it down, right? A UN committee on elimination of racial discrimination asked India, a UN committee on elimination of racial discrimination asked India to repeal the Habitual Offenders Act 1952. Right? A UN committee on elimination of racial discrimination. Racial discrimination asked India to repeal the Habitual Offenders Act 1952. 1952 and effectively rehabilitate the and effectively rehabilitate the denotified tribes and nomadic tribes and nomadic tribes nomadic tribes, right, comma, on uh, in March 2007. In March 2007. So, beta, please let me elaborate this point again, right? Because, beta, habitual offender, one is a individual. Let's suppose, uh, like, let's suppose Mr. X is is a habitual offender, right? But what was the bad there, right? That certain communities, that people belonging to certain communities were designated as the habitual offenders under the act, right? Like it was previous under the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, right? So that is why UN committee asked India that that right, so designating some communities as designating people belonging to some communities as the habitual offenders, right, is a great social injustice, and that is why the government of India should repeal this law which is called the Habitual Offender Act 1952, and the government of India should make adequate provisions or take adequate steps for the rehabilitation of the denotified tribes and the nomadic tribes, right? So this committee recommended to the government of India in the year 2007. Okay, so this committee recommended to the government of India in the year 2007. Okay, in the year 2007, right? And then what happened in 2008? So please note it down. In 2008, after this committee's recommendation, in 2008, the National Commission for Denotified, Denotified, nomadic and semi-nomadic tribe, denotified, nomadic and semi-nomadic tribe of Ministry of Social Justice, Ministry of Social Justice, Justice and Empowerment recommended equal reservation, recommended equal reservation for them as are available to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Right? And therefore, now in India, denotified and nomadic tribes are eligible for reservation. Okay, so this point was again important. The government of India repealed the Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, and in 1952 the government of India enacted another law which is called the Habitual Offenders Act, right? But the people who were denotified, right, by the repealing of this Criminal Tribes Act of 1871, those people were not listed as the scheduled tribes. You know, in India, the reservation is only for scheduled tribes and scheduled castes, right? The castes which have not been entered into the schedule for the purpose, there is no reservation for those castes. And similarly, the tribes who have not been entered into the schedule, right, made for the purpose, they don't, they are not eligible for any reservation, right, under the law. Okay, so that is why in 2008, when after the UN Commission intervention, right, when the government of India formed a committee, then on the basis of the recommendation of that committee, right, the government of India, right, allowed reservation to those denotified and the nomadic tribes, right, for this purpose. Okay, so because they were not the scheduled tribes, that is why they were not eligible for reservation. Okay, so all tribes, please bear in mind, all tribes are not eligible for reservation. Only those tribes which are eligible for reservation, right, whose names have been entered into the schedule, right, uh, schedule, right, prepared by the or schedule maintained by the President of India. Okay, like beta, if I take the example of Punjab, there are uh, there are tribal people in Punjab. There are some tribes in Punjab, right? But none of those tribes, right, has been put under the schedule, right, which is uh, for the purpose of the reservation or other benefits, right, prescribed for the scheduled tribes or made for the scheduled tribes. So that is why, right, officially Punjab does not have any scheduled tribe population. Right? Punjab does not have any scheduled tribe population. Right? And similarly, if to go to Arunachal Pradesh, right? In we can say Arunachal Pradesh, there is the scheduled tribe population, but there is no scheduled caste population. Right? Because the castes which are there, those have not been notified for the purpose. Right, those are not in the list of the castes for the benefit, right? uh, okay, so beta, that is why all castes are not scheduled castes and all tribes are not scheduled tribes, right? So only those castes and tribes are known as scheduled castes or tribes whose name is there in the schedule maintained by the President of India. Is it clear up to this point? Okay. So Punjab has the highest percentage of scheduled caste population in India. Please bear this in mind, right? So in terms of numbers, UP has the highest scheduled caste population, but in terms of percentage of population, Punjab has the highest number of scheduled caste population in India. Okay. And so that's the point, right? So this was about this Denotified tribes. I hope this is clear to you now. Okay, so now the next thing which I told you, that was the Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? Bharat Nirman volunteers. Bharat Nirman volunteers, what is the purpose of the Bharat Nirman volunteers, Peter? The basic thing is that one is the various schemes and programs launched by the government of India for the rural development or for the benefit of the rural communities, right? Right. And on the, we can say, other end, there are the beneficiaries for whom the schemes are made or launched by the government. Okay, there remains a gap between the two, right? Gap means whatever the entitlement rights or benefits are provided for there in the schemes which have been implemented for the benefit of the rural communities, right? The people of rural communities don't know about them, those benefits, entitlements, or schemes, right? So that is why, right, to make the government schemes, programs, etc., more meaningful, more effective, right, more, we can say, fruit bearing, right? So it was thought that that there should be a class between the beneficiaries and the schemes, right? Okay, so that class, right, shall work to bridge the gap between the two, right? And that class shall work to, right, so ensure the more participation of the village communities into the developmental works, right? So those category of people, right, those category of the, that category of the volunteers that was established for that purpose, that is known as the Bharat Nirman volunteers. Okay, so please note it down. Bharat Nirman volunteers, they are volunteers who assist. They are volunteers who assist the Gram Panchayats, who assist the Gram Panchayats for the implementation of development related projects. For the implementation of development related projects. Okay, development related projects. It's there. Okay, projects, right? So they work under an officer, an officer working under the BDO. They work under an officer working under the BDO, means block development officer, BDO. Okay, the volunteers carry forward the messages of rural development. Volunteers carry forward the messages of rural development to the rural households, for the schemes given below, for the schemes mentioned below or given below, right? So what are the schemes? One is the Manrega, right? So the purpose of the Bharat Nirman volunteers in case of Manrega, if we see, that is to spread the awareness about the Manrega scheme among the people, right? To ensure the participation of or to ensure the right, we can say, benefit of the scheme, right, to permeate among the, right, or to spread among the more and more people, so that more and more people may get benefited from the scheme, right? This is the second thing, right? And third thing is that to promote the to motivate the people or to aware the people, right, to participate in the Gram Sabha meetings, right, to participate in the social audit, right? So that is the purpose of the Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? Because if the rural people don't participate in the social audit, right, so then the purpose of the social audit would defeat in itself, right? So one is the Manrega scheme, you know about this, and second is the National Rural Livelihood Mission. National Rural Livelihood Mission, right? And the third is, we can say, that is the rural housing, right? Rural housing, right? And the fourth is a National Social Assistance Program, right? Fifth is rural roads, like that is the Prime Minister Gram Sadak Yojana. That is a very much important scheme, right? Gram Sadak Yojana. And then there is the drinking water and sanitation, drinking water and sanitation. Then watershed development, watershed development. Then Panchayati Raj programs, Panchayati Raj programs, right? So it means these are the various schemes which have been implemented by the government of India for the welfare of the rural community, right? Now what is there? Now what is there? Right? Something should be done, right? To 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 ensure that more and more rural people, right, should be benefited by this scheme, right? More and more rural people should be benefited by this scheme. Yes, I'm showing, right? So more and more people should be benefited by this scheme, right? And that is why there is a team of volunteers, there is a class of volunteers in between them, right, who knows the scheme, and right, convey that message to the people, so that more and more people may be benefited by that scheme, right? So this is what we know about the this volunteers, right? Rural housing. After that is National Social Assistance Program. Amrit, National Social Assistance Program, NSAP कहते हैं हम उसको, right? So the next is right. So the Bharat Nirman volunteers make sure that the members of rural households are fully informed. Members of rural households are fully informed, right, about their entitlements, roles, and responsibilities. About their entitlements, roles, and under various programs of rural development. Responsibilities under various programs of rural development, agriculture, industries, banking, health, and education. Banking, health, and education. Right. So this is the role of the Bharat Nirman volunteers. This is about the Bharat Nirman volunteers. Okay. So, beta, in today's lecture, we have discussed in detail about the social audit. What are the benefits of social audit? What are the characteristics of social audit? Features of social audit? What is social audit in itself? What is the process of social audit? Right? How the social audit of the MGNREGA related work is carried on? Right? So who are right? So who constitute the audit team for the purpose of the social audit? Right? Etc., etc., right? And apart from that, we have discussed two very important concepts today. One is the denotified tribe concept, and second is this Bharat Nirman volunteers concept, right? Okay, so this denotified tribes is very much important concept for the purpose of the preliminary examination, right? For the purpose of the main examination also, but for preliminary it is also. And similarly, Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? A question can be asked there that, uh, right, what, who are the Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? Or what do you know about Bharat Nirman volunteers, right? So enumerate their role and responsibilities, right? Enumerate their role and responsibilities. Or one thing more can be asked that what is the role of Bharat Nirman volunteers in rural development or in rural transformation? Right? What can be their role? role that question can be asked, right? And the next thing is that the next question which can be asked for your examination purpose is that right, uh, okay, who are or who are denotified tribes? Who are denotified tribes? Right? Is there any special advantage given under the Constitution or by the government of India to such denotified tribes? To the denotified tribes, right? To the denotified tribes. This is their second question, right? And the third question for the purpose of your examination, which can be asked, that is the right, enumerate the process of social audit, process of social audit of MGNREGA related works, social audit of MGNREGA related works, right? Okay. And the fourth question can be asked that right. So differentiate between social audit and financial audit. Differentiate between social audit and financial audit, right? So why social audit is not allowed, right, at the upper levels of the government, at the upper levels of the government, right? Like government takes various decisions. Government enacts a number of laws in the parliament, right? Like you can see that farmers are sitting on the protest now on the outskirts of Delhi since November 26, right? You know about that, right? Right. And the problem is that the government of India has enacted three laws, right, which are not acceptable to the farmers, which they think that they are harmful to them, right, to those people. So now the question is that, right, can in such cases social audit of the government decisions can be held, right? So why not? If the social audit at the panchayat level, at the gram panchayat level is possible, then why not social audit at the higher levels, right? So this is my question. Is it possible, right? So you have to answer that if yes, okay. If no, then why is it not possible? And how can it be made possible? So these can be the things, right? Okay. So the topic is over today. If you have any doubt related with today's topic, you can ask to me, right? So you can ask. Any doubt of anybody? Okay. I'm supposing there is no doubt of anybody. So if there is no doubt, then can I take leave now? Okay. So, okay, then we will meet on Monday. Okay. Tomorrow is Sunday, I think. So tomorrow will be holiday. So we'll meet on Monday. Okay. Take care. Right. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Okay. So, okay, beta. Bye bye. Right. We will meet on Monday now.